From the traditional and unceded territory of the Caledonia First Nation and the heart of northern BC, welcome to the CNC Podcast. 50 years, 100,000 alumni. At CNC, we're learning together, changing lives, and creating futures. Welcome to the CNC Podcast. I'm Mark Cargiolotto. CNC has a lot of programs that are focused on getting people out to work and employed, or even helping them move on to higher education, other studies at universities or colleges or institutes across the country. A big part of our studies here at CNC involve the business program. If people want to choose accounting, marketing, or even any number of other streams of business, we can probably help you out. Now, we've got a guest today who is an active student within the business program, but she doesn't intend to stop after she's completed here at CNC. Shannon Fairservice is in the business program. She's just completed her second year, and we're thrilled to have you on the CNC Podcast. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me about business. Why did you want to study it?
I took my first business course in grade 10. It was a grade 10 course. I was in grade 12. Just as an extra elective, I needed one more to graduate high school, and it was really interesting. Our entire project was for the entire semester to put together a business plan as if we were going to be opening a store at the school. So we had to put together all of the resources that we were ever going to need for that. How were we going to lay it out? How were we going to fund it? What were we going to sell? Who did we need to talk to gain this permission for any of that? And that was just so cool to me, just having to talk to all of these people and bring all this information together to present something at the end and go, look at all this work that I've done and how can we take what we've done here and make it work in the real world. That was just so cool to me. And from there, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. But always in the back of my mind from that point was like, business is really cool. You can bring all these people together and make them all work on the same problem, even though they have so many different strengths, but they all work together and it just comes together and it works.
That's great. Can you tell me about businesses or even business people that you've admired or looked up to or tried to read more about?
One of the biggest business people that I have looked up to was one of my professors at Columbia Bible College in Abbotsford. His name is Curtis Coubet. He is just amazing. He is so grounded in his faith, so that was really cool. But he also was a financial advisor in 2008. So just listening to him and how he explained everything and just the way that he views business for himself and for the world. And it was always just amazing to watch him work through a problem.
Yeah, because 2008, that would have been financial crisis. So that would have been
Absolutely.
A huge problem then. Yeah. So how did you wind up here at the college then? And how did that business program kind of then cater to your needs?
So I came from Columbia doing their social entrepreneurship program. So it's a business diploma with a focus on not-for-profits and charities. But I wanted further studies, so I was going to go to the university and do their BCom, but unfortunately, calculus is a requirement for the BCom program, so I had to scrap that idea and look for something else, and thankfully CNC's business management diploma does not require that. You can take it as a course here, so I started doing that, and I started here just taking a few courses, because when I started here, it was September of 2020, so we were smack dab in the middle of a pandemic. Everything was online. And my advisor here is amazing and was like, do not take your calculus course online. Wait as long as you can and do it in person. Just wait. Just take what you can and hold out. And eventually I did, and I did take the calculus course, so I will be able to get to the university. But in taking all of the courses here, I've just learned so much about some of the stuff that I've done before, but it's also new stuff and new perspectives on everything as well.
Well, can you tell me more about those then? What are some of the courses that have really fascinated you when you've gone through your studies here?
One of the last courses that I took, I think it's Small Business Development with Mark Wendling, was amazing. It was so not what I was expecting in a course, but you are in charge of an airline simulation and you do all of those decisions that an airline would have to do. So you're scheduling your flights, you're hiring people, you're firing people, you're doing all of those management things. But that's really what interested me and got me into the business in the first place, is you're taking all of those decisions and how do they work together. So that was super cool.
Yeah. what do you think is the biggest skill that you've learned along the way? Because it sounds like you've now had some business studies in high school, at your Bible college, and then now at CNC. What do you think are some of the big ones that have really stuck with you?
Just to put yourself out there. As a business student, you're going to have to talk to a lot of people. I am an introvert. The fact that I'm doing this at all is amazing and something I never thought I would do. But being a business student, you have to put yourself out there. You have to go and talk to people. You have to get to know your colleagues and speak with them and ask for their opinions and not fear that rejection if what you say is not right or doesn't coincide with what they think is also going to work. So that's what was a big thing for me to learn, and I definitely learned it here.
That's good to hear. In terms of assignments that you've done, you were describing that airline assignment and that, which frankly is really fascinating to me because I'm a big geek when it comes to travel and whatnot. What about one that really challenged you that you were kind of like, oh, gee, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through this, but you were able to power through? Do you have an example of that, do you think?
Yeah, in applied group skills, you are doing applied group skills. You have to work with people. And a bunch of the assignments that we were supposed to do were solely group projects. And then towards the end of the semester, our professor was like, okay, so this isn't actually going to work. So I'm going to have to get you guys both groups that we had in the class together. And your two teams are going to have to complete this final assignment. So that was definitely challenging because we had to go from two very separate groups who were working on assignments individually to one big group. I mean, big group meaning there was only 6 of us, but it was the smallest class she'd ever had. But there was still 6 of us, and instead of being 3 like there was before, and now we were having difference of opinions and difference of ideas and just how everything worked, because the one group did things very differently than the 3 of us had before that. We did everything online, whereas they did everything in person. So it was just bringing that all together. That's
interesting you mentioned that, because I bet that if you're merging 2 companies and you have 2 very different corporate cultures and trying to get people from one to work in the other or vice versa, I bet that's probably preparing you for a future that way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that until now, but yeah, that's definitely something that is a possibility. So
yeah, understandably. So do you want to talk about the future? After you're done here, you've got another year to go, and what's next in the cards for you, do you think?
So after my last year here, I will be heading to the university, so UNBC, to complete my bachelor's of commerce in general business, possibly with something else. I haven't decided yet. And then I'm hoping to work at a historic site similar to Hubble Homestead, which is where I'm currently working, or something else in their admin department, which when you talk to a lot of people is really weird because they're like, you're going to work at a museum and not be like a curator or like get your PhD. But I'm like, no, I want to work in the office because I really like that history stuff. But the history isn't entirely what fascinates me about it. I enjoy the history part of it. I think history is really cool, but I also enjoy bringing all of that stuff together.
Yeah, having that balance, I would presume. Yeah. Yep. So you're not necessarily looking for a big company like a Canfor or a TELUS and that. You'd like something a little smaller?
Yeah, definitely. If it means that's where, like, if TELUS or Canfor is where I'm starting, I'd be okay with that, just to get that experience. But I would love to work in history, natural history, any of that.
Yeah, that's super. If you were to go back in time, or even if you were to speak to, for example, speaking to your younger self about studying business, and you were able to give yourself some advice, what do you think it would be by now?
Don't be afraid of what's coming.
Yeah.
I've changed quite a few times what I thought I was going to do. When I was younger, I thought I was going to be a vet, and that quickly went out the window. I don't like blood. I don't like hurting animals, anything like that. So that wasn't going to happen. And then both of my parents are technically drafters. So they draw maps. And for a long time, most of high school, that's what I thought I was going to do. I was going to go do that, and everything was going to be great. And then I took this business course and everything changed. But yeah, it would be, don't be afraid of that change. Just accept it and see what happens. It works.
Yeah. Understandably, it seems that's taking you to an exciting direction.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time and that. We hope the rest of your studies of the college go well and that, UMBC is going to be a great experience for you. And we're thrilled that you joined us on the podcast. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.